The man behind the channel has been tied up with other projects and responsibilities lately, so while he's away, we're keeping things moving. Let's get started. Welcome back to 811 Chicago Utility Locating. Today we're showing you how to locate underground utilities the right way using the Radiodetection RD8200. We'll be using the Peak and Null method. It's fast, reliable, and accurate. First, hook up your transmitter to the target line. Make sure you set your transmitter to the lowest frequency, something like 512 Hz. That's especially important if you're using a tracer wire. Lower frequencies give you a cleaner, tighter signal and help reduce bleed-off onto nearby utilities. Now, on your RD8200 receiver, switch over to Peak Mode. Position yourself about 20 to 30 feet away from the pedestal, riser, transformer, whatever you're locating from. Now do your 360 sweep around the expected utility area. Quick tip, keep your gain under 70% during this initial check. It helps avoid bleed-off onto a different utility. As you sweep, when the signal is the strongest, that's your peak. Stop and mark that spot.
So about 30 feet, if you could. Sometimes you can't. And you notice my gain, I'm only at 52%. I'm not blasting it up high because I want to see my first sweep, what I get. And when I'm sweeping, you can see how my back end is directly in line with that amp there. And that's how I'm gonna complete my radius, making sure this back end here is always pointing towards that amp. So that's why I make my turn. You can see it's still pointing at the amp. And boom, I got one tone here, 40. Truck went by 45, 46 milliamps. That's really good for one line. As I complete my sweep, I'm still maintaining my 30 feet, 40 feet away from that amp. I'm not getting closer. A lot of people get closer. Now coming back the other way. And I completed my 360. And you can see my machine was always pointing that way around that equipment that I'm hooked onto. You want to make sure when you're located, your receiver is aligned with that all the time. You know, you don't want to be cockeyed going like this or like this. You want to be parallel with that all the way around, like going around the moon.
Now switch to Null Mode and go back over that same area. If it matches your peak, then you know you're on your target.
So I did get a tone right here. Let's see what happens. So you see it moved right here a little bit. 1 foot. That's pretty good. No response, not that great.
You're using Null Mode to verify the peak. Here's what you're doing. You're going to peak that utility all the way out to your extent, then come back using Null Mode to confirm that your peak was accurate.
And my null response is really good here. You see, the null is really good where my peak is.
If your null doesn't match your peak on the way back, it likely means the signal jumped onto a different utility line. Peak and null should always match within about 8 inches. And remember, the null signal will be centered directly over the line where the current is flowing. If peak and null line up, you're right on top of it. If they don't, the utility is likely between those 2 points, or your peak wasn't true. So always peak it, null it, peak it again. That's what we call peak and null it back. It only takes a few seconds and gives you a solid, verified locate using your RD8200.
Volatility. Whoa, whoa, whoa. See, folks, this one turned. This one's going right here to this thing here. And I lost it. So let me show you something. Every time you lose a tone like that, when you're locating, and then you lose your tone, a lot of people would just go up with it and say, oh, I got a tone here. And then they'll start marking this shitty tone here because they bumped up their gain. So I'm right here, I'm at 40%. Now I'm gonna lose it one more time. I lost my tone. I'm not bumping this, because when you bump this up, folks, you're bleeding off onto AT&T. So when you lose a tone like this, you don't get nothing. You need to do another 360. So I'm gonna do the same thing, walk around. I'm gonna complete, and I'll be like, well, okay, I got a tone here, 68 milliamps, 2 feet, but I gotta finish my sweep to make sure it doesn't go on the angle. So I can conduct my sweep until I hit my last good tone. So I hit my last good tone here. I know this is the cable, and that's the only tone I got, is this one here, so I'm going to mark it out. Hope you guys understand what I'm saying. If you guys don't, please feel free to leave a comment below. So I'm nulling back to verify the null to make sure my cable, this is my cable, and the null's really good here. So you always pick it out first and then null it back. You're verifying your peak with null. That's all you're doing. You're not marking on null. You're just verifying your peak tone on null to make sure that you're on that cable, you didn't bleed off on something else.
That's it for today. If this helped you out, hit that like button and subscribe for more locating tips from 811 Chicago Utility Locating. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next time.